All right, guys, today we're going to talk a little bit about risk management. And the very first subject that I want to touch base on is actually risk tolerance. So before we dive into the rules and strategies for proper risk management and how to calculate risk for a trade, we'll touch base on risk tolerance. So we can say that risk appetite is based on what you are personally willing to risk per trade, per day, per week, per month, per year, etc. That's your decision at the end of the day. So based on that, you have a daily, a weekly, a monthly, a yearly profit target, whether that be in US dollars, Bitcoin, a percentage. It totally varies based on your account and your own preferences. For example, let's say that we wanted to risk $200 per day, or rather 2% on a $10,000 trading account. That means that our trades should be divided into smaller chunks or smaller trades of that overall risk tolerance. So, for example, if we had a $10,000 account and we wanted to risk that $200 per day, we could risk using 2 trades with $100 risk per trade. So we split it up on that day. With that, you have to identify the profit you expect on that day. So you want to have a daily profit target that exceeds the max risk on that day. In this scenario, because we determined the risk on the particular day would be $200, then our minimum expectation for profit should be at least $300, which would be our initial threshold. And from there, we can judge whether we want to continue or not. If we use a simple example to demonstrate the compounding of losses, if you exceed your daily stop loss for the day and settle for a take profit the very first time we see green, then the account in question will not do very well, as indicated in the diagram that I have on my screen here, account A. So we're going to look at an example to demonstrate how compounding of losses can absolutely produce what we call like a death spiral in your account. So we're going to take a look at an example here that I have on my screen, which is account A, or trader A. Trader A took 20 trades this month. He has 12 winning days and 8 losing days, so its overall profitability should be in the green. As you can see, it's not. Due to poor risk management, on average, the losing days were $300 in the red. The max risk to be taken was supposed to be $200 per day, but in this case, Trader A did not follow his own guidelines, and he only made $160 per day on the winning trades. So if he's losing $300 on his losing days, and he's only making $160 on his winning days, he's losing a lot more than he's winning, which causes that massive decline over time. Right? As you can see, this would actually death spiral down to nothing overall. And that's what you tend to have when you get newer traders that do not follow proper risk management guidelines. So the next example is account B. As you can see, account B looks a lot different than account A. These are not unrealistic examples. They are fairly realistic in my opinion. So with this example, account B, the trader applies their risk management rules and accepts their daily stop loss without exceeding it. They have also aimed for their daily profit target each time they are winning. Notice the gains, they're not incredible because we have used the same guidelines as the previous example. So there's 12 winning days and 8 losing days, which is the same as account A. So we'll say that each green day is actually a $300 gain, whereas each red day is a $200 loss. So even though the red and green days are split the same way that they were with account A, you can see the gradual incline in the trader's account balance because they followed their own guidelines. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the 1% rule. We're actually going to bring up a chart here. So the whole 1% risk rule is frequently referred to by traders, meaning as a 1% risk on their account balance on a daily basis or a per trade basis, which is your own preference. You can pick whether you want it to be a daily thing, a per trade basis, etc. That's totally your call at the end of the day. The 1% rule ensures that even when traders are having bad days and are feeling off, the risk is capped to a certain max loss. So in the long run, the account is not compromised due to sporadic or emotional trading. For example, if you suffer, say, a 50% account drawdown, you will have to make 100% of the current balance to get back where you started from. So if you had a $10,000 account and it declined $5,000 due to an error, we'll call it an error, or poor risk management rather, you would have to then make 100% of the $5,000 to get back to $10,000. So this could take days, weeks, months, years to get back to that level, and even longer, really, to climb out of the hole, so to speak. So we're going to talk a little bit about compounding your account. Using proper compounding makes life a lot easier when it comes to trading. We can not only compound positively, but we can also compound when it comes to losing as well, which may sound a little strange, but what I'm trying to get to is we need to make sure that we understand that when we apply the entire 1% risk per trade rule, which is generally how I go about it, or whatever percent risk per trade that you personally like to go with, it's an ever-changing figure as the account either depletes or it grows. I'm going to show you guys an example, but before we do that, let me just finish what I have to say. So, for example, if you abide by the 1% rule, even if you have a bad week, and let's say you lost 10 trades in a row, risking 1% of your account per trade while compounding, you would then have a 90.4382% of your total account balance remaining, which may sound weird because you would think it's just 90%. From there, you could make it back in a matter of a few good trades. So let me screenshot over an example, and we're going to look at the math here. So let's say we had a $10,000 trading account. We went with the 1% risk. We're now officially down to $9,900. So that's trade one. Trade two, we went from $9,900 because we took 1% as the ever-changing figure as the account either depletes or it increases. Now we're down to $9,801. The same math once again. So on trade number three, we take 1% of this figure, which is remaining, which is $98.01. And if we lose the trade, we go down to this figure. Now, this does not incorporate fees. Fees are a different game on their own. You have to incorporate fees, obviously. We're not doing that. We're keeping things basic here. But as you can see, after 10 trades, and I've double-checked this math, you would eventually end up over here. So that's how you compound, right? You're always changing that 1% as the account either depletes or increases. I cannot say that enough. It is very, very important that you understand that. Otherwise, you will not get ahead, and you will not have what I refer to as proper risk management. So in terms of how would you get back an account like that? Well, from there, it's just a matter of a few good trades. Let's say the next 4 trades are winners using proper compounding. And let's say your goal was 3% per trade. Every time you plan a trade using the risk reward calculator and the equation that I'll be giving you guys shortly, and you take the entire trade out at a 3% or a 3 risk reward ratio, that's 3 times the overall risk on that trade if done correctly. So in this case, it was actually 3.02. That's our multiplier. So risk to reward ratio is your multiplier times the actual risk on the trade if the math was correctly done. So for example, let's say we won 4 trades in a row. How would you get back that $957 loss that we just looked at after losing 10 trades in a row? So in this case here, as you can see, earning 3% per trade over 4 trades in a row, despite losing 10 in a row, would actually net you this. You would end up positive $179.89. And you can double check that math if you'd like to. I actually laid it all out here perfectly. So in that case, it's very easy to get ahead when you get behind, right? So if you notice that you're having a bad week or a bad month, rather, don't think, hey, my life is over. It's all over. My trading career is over. It's not. It's a matter of a few good trades and proper risk management, and you will get out of that hole that you climbed into. So now I want to talk a little bit about how to look at risk reward and how to actually plan a trade properly. So I'm not going to show you guys the actual logical TA. I'm just trying to show you guys the actual risk management portion of this. So this is a valid order block, mind you, but I'm not too concerned about that. I just want to show the trade for what it is. So let's say we have a trade and we're targeting this high. This is our overall idea. And we decide to set a limit order on this area. How do you know how much to actually enter here is a question. Well, you're going to need a calculator of some kind. You need to figure this math out because otherwise you're just guessing. The thing is, and I've double, triple checked this kind of stuff, but the thing is on Bybit, for instance, or Binance, the calculators, they can be used in a way to show you your overall risk on a trade, but I'll be honest, it's not that accurate. A lot of the time it's not that accurate, and you really have to go through multiple calculations on those websites to get a proper risk ratio, especially if you're using inverse. So that's something to keep in mind. So why not just do it yourself? It's very, very simple. And I'll show